Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, November 18th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown, so if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used as a tool to help make good decisions as a trader, this would be a video for you. First off, a couple clarifications. Number one, the candlestick, that you see right there will be moving around and changing. That is because the market's still open for a small amount of time. But I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. Second, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame, meaning each of these candlesticks here represents 30 minutes worth of time. So ticker symbol number one, we are looking at AMIX. Crazy day, a little tricky to talk about because it's all about perspective. I mean, if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, whatever you want to call yourself, and you were buying right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 10 minutes, from that angle, chart's looking really, really bad. Now, if you do care about the bigger picture point of view, even with the bigger pullback, price still have the opportunity to build a higher base, namely by staying up above that pink line right there, which is the very well-known, very famous 200 period moving average, right now valid at, we'll call it 93 cents. And I'm not saying this is what's going to occur, but if the price were to come down here and then something like that and then curl back upwards, emphasis here on big picture. From the big picture perspective, what would you have? Well, you'd still have a set of lows there. You'd have these lows down here. And if you envision those as stair steps, again, from the big picture, you'd still have stair steps making progress in the upwards direction. Again, if you're a day trader and you bought right there, you definitely don't care about these stair steps. That's why I'm trying to make the distinction between more of a day trader and somebody that cares about things from the bigger picture point of view. As far as areas of resistance are concerned, if this thing's going to try to curl itself back upwards, key level to watch initially in my mind right there around the $1.18 mark. This was a former area of support, and then just a classic example of when that level of support was broken. Supports tend to act as resistance. Doesn't mean it can never be broken again. I'm just saying it makes sense why the price did struggle at that area. So moving forward, 118 is going to be a key battleground to watch moving into Tuesday. Next one looking at here, WTO, and overall nice movement when you consider where the price was just on Friday. Sure, it gapped up, and yes, it pulled back from those highs right here, but again, it's all about a matter of kind of reference point. From this reference point where, was that on Friday, still a nice little move here. So now it just becomes a question of let's see if the price can make some progress, and I'm defining quote unquote progress as staying up above that purple line right there, the 50 period simple moving average, right now valued at 0.0279. And the reason why that level is important in my opinion is if the price were to come down here and then break down below it, what do you have at that moment? You would have the price having gone right back to where it was. And not to insult your intelligence, but price movements that make good solid moves and then go right back to where they started, not exactly a sign of genuine strength or genuine power. Again, I'm not saying that's what's going to occur, but just explaining why in my mind, 0.0279 is an important area of support. In terms of areas of resistance, pretty straightforward here. I'd say we have this very well-defined resistance line right there. So keep an eye on that trend line, and if the price can push up through there, especially if it's a high volume break, no guarantees, but I could see a break of that level producing some good solid upwards buying pressure. So overall though, nice recovery from its Friday's lows, but we'll see if the price in the near, couple of days can get back above that trend line or not. Next one, looking at SOXS, and very, very impressive mover, especially after when you consider the opening 30 minutes. Gap up, came all the way down here. So at one point during that opening 30 minutes, the price was right there. And then after that, very, very solid day. And now we're approaching a potential very significant level. And that is just the highs from back there on Friday, right up around $4.24. So if I squeeze things out, you can see this area is pretty significant in the sense of if the price were to break above that area, that would be putting the price at highs that have not been seen for several weeks. Not saying that will occur, but again, a break of that level is well within possibility now that the price has recovered so strongly today. So 424, definitely a very important level and a very interesting level moving forward from the resistance side of things. From an overarching area of kind of just support standpoint, just keep an eye on that purple line there, 50 period simple moving average. For more of kind of a simplistic approach, that purple line there being this 50 period simple moving average, as time goes by, that line is going to move itself higher and higher. So it's essentially a trend line that's going to draw itself for you. So as long as the price remains above that uptrending trend line, then that implies the price itself is putting in higher lows, and that's what it's all about. But in my opinion, at least, most interesting dynamic due to the nature of the price getting so close to 424 is, can the price actually push up through there, get a breakout, and who knows, maybe pick up even another round of upwards momentum? We'll have to see what happens. Next one here, OPEN, and along the same lines of what I talked about previously, not on what we just talked about, XOSS, but the previous one, which I can't even remember what that was. That's really pathetic. Oh, WTO. Was it? Yeah, it was. Okay, now I'm driving myself nuts. W2, am I going crazy? Let's see. Yeah, okay, there we go. There is a downtrending trend line, so I'm not crazy. WTO, and then hopping back here to OPEN. So same general idea. It's all about that line right there. As I mentioned, just because the price were to come up here and break that line, no guarantee. So I'm not saying a break there automatically leads to a big breakout, but my point here, just like on WTO, is that at least a valid scenario? Is that a plausible question to throw out there? Absolutely. So keep an eye on that resistance line right there on OPEN. Talked about that going back to last week. And then in terms of areas of support, have what I think is a pretty interesting area of potential support here, kind of the bottom part of almost a little wedge formation. So keep an eye on that. We'll change that to green for support. So if this does roll over, preferably speaking, you'd want to see it stay above that pink line there, that 200 period moving average. But if it doesn't, you still do have that lower trend line down there as a potential bounce point. Next one here, TSLL. And this one overall had a good start to the day. And overall, things are still fine from a big picture because the price has maintained above that 1590 mark, which I talked about on Friday. But as far as that level right there, the purple line, 50 period moving average, it did break above it, which was good. But then you can see here, could not maintain above it and drop back below it. So from that angle, it was not the greatest day. But again, that doesn't mean that the entire chart's destroyed. But the reason why these are always tricky is, well, then you got to think about, well, is there a day trader that bought right there thinking this breakout was going to continue? From that person, I would sound crazy saying anything is bullish looking, because for that person, this is a very, very bearish chart. But like I said, many different angles, but assuming you care about the grand scheme of things, not great that the price failed to stay above the purple line, but it did stay above and didn't even test that 1590 mark. So that's good because that at least allows it to build a higher base, which is what you want from a bigger picture viewpoint. So 1590 remains that important area of support moving forward. If the price does try to push back upwards, keep an eye on that purple line right there, the 50 period simple moving average. Real quick, want to take a break and help you solve a very common problem that maybe pertains to you, and that is the desire to be a day trader. And I am defining day trader as having unlimited day trades every day, but you can't because of the pattern day trader rule. Well, please understand there is a strategy out there that allows you to totally avoid the pattern day trader rule, gives you access to a market that moves way better than the stock market anyways, and you have very little risk of your own capital on the line. I understand, though, that this all sounds like a scam, too good to be true. I get it, which is why I'm inviting you to come swing by my live stream and watch me do it, watch it play out with your very own eyes, because yes, it totally sounds, what's the catch? I get it. So swing by the live stream and see exactly what I mean, but please also just be aware that you don't have to allow yourself to be trapped under the pattern day trader rule. There are definitely other strategies out there available to you. Next one here, ONDS, and this was a very brutal move today. The price started off at the upper part of this resistance line that I drew on Friday, and you can see the upper part of that pattern rejected it, down it went, but that area of support did not provide any support at all, and then came down to the purple line, price went through there, went down to the pink line, price went down through there. So it was a very bearish day, not because it was a red day per se, but just because, it broke down through so many areas of support. But moving forward now, in the near term, the now key levels of resistance initially are going to be that pink line right there. So I guess to try to look at the glass as half full, at least the price is once again knocking on that door right there. So we'll see if the price can push up through that pink line, which right now valued at 628. If the price can push up through there, next key level to watch after that would be that purple line, 653, as the next key battleground. In terms of areas of support, main battleground at this point, no fancy logic, just a question of where did the bleeding finally stop today. And that finally stopped down there right around that $6 mark. So keep an eye on $6 to keep an eye to watch moving forward. And if the price falls down through there, then all of a sudden you're starting to get into pretty much no man's land on the chart once again, which not exactly the spot you want to be, assuming you are bullish. But yeah, rough day today, but a little bit of upwards movement. We'll see if the bulls can build upon that miniature momentum or not. Next one here, NVDA, and so far so good. I mapped out this 185-ish area in the video from Friday, and you can see opening 30 minutes, price came down here, maintained, got the bounce, and even right now, sure, it dropped down a little bit below there, but it is still maintaining, and that just goes back to the whole idea that as long as the price can stay above here, that is good, because if the price does come down, now all of a sudden you have the price having gone right back to where it started, and as mentioned already, a price move with genuine power is not going to make a great move and then go back to where it started. Nothing goes straight up, which is why you want to see progress, but certainly not going to go back to where it was, and that quote-unquote progress point again right here at that 185-ish mark. So good to see that holding. And then on the resistance side of things, main area and main battleground to watch moving forward, going to be right up here at the 50 period moving average, which currently valued over here at 188.50. Next one here, GLMD, very, very ugly looking chart, but you longer time viewers, you know what I'm going to say next. There can be opportunity in the ugly. So just to build a little bit of context here, big, huge move up, and then all those gains completely given essentially back. It's right back to where it began. with all that said, and this will mean a little bit more to those that have traded for a while, I'm sure you've seen situations like this where it's ugly, it's looking like it's game over, and all of a sudden there can be some just crazy moves back to the upside. And what's making me think that is, check out the latter part of the day. We're getting some nice lower shadows, and each lower shadow, both there and there, does represent some buyers. Now, none of this means that for sure guaranteed there is going to be, a bounce back upwards, but it becomes a little bit more plausible. If the price was still just dropping straight down, and then I'm sitting here saying it's looking like this could be the bottom, you'd be totally justified to say, wait, what are you talking about? The price is just going straight down. But that's not the case here. Not only has it at least gone sideways a little bit, we're getting a couple of nice little lower shadow candles. So if you like these scenarios where you potentially, everybody's waving the white flag, everything thinks it's game over, this is the worst thing ever, those are the moments where things can tend to bounce. With all that said, if you have terrible risk management, if you don't even know what risk management is, you shouldn't even be trading, but that's a whole other topic. But you definitely should stay away from situations like this because there is also the threat that it just keeps bleeding and you don't want to turn yourself into a bag holder. But from a risk-reward scenario, certainly a very interesting set of circumstances. Next one here, MSTR, and we have ourselves an interesting pattern here. So let me just first get this into play, and it's actually one of my favorite patterns. So there's the bottom part of the pattern, the area of support, and then top part of the pattern right here. And this would be called a falling wedge pattern, which you would think is a bearish pattern, but actually the rising wedge is the bearish pattern. The falling wedge is bullish. Now, just because there's a bullish pattern does not mean that for sure guaranteed if the price comes up here and breaks through there, that break is going to lead to upwards momentum. But the key point here is that at least a valid scenario? Is this a valid question to throw out there of a possibility that a falling wedge is broken and that wedge creates upside buying pressure? It is a plausible scenario in my opinion. Doesn't mean that it'll for sure happen, but again, it's all just the idea of plausibility. So if you're somebody that likes falling wedge patterns, then definitely keep an eye on MSTR. Next one here, TSLA Tesla. And all in all, the chart is hanging in there. And I say this just from an overall standpoint, and the overall standpoint being Tesla has essentially formed a channel. Top of the channel right here at 414, bottom of the channel right here at 396.50. And it hasn't been a totally clean channel. Here the price was quite a bit below it, and then it recovered back in. Then we had the opposite happen here today. Price got quite a bit above it, and then right back in. So not a clean-cut channel at all, but it does really seem like the price is having a difficult time in both directions to actually create any sort of separation from this channel. Like I said, again, the difficulty in the form of, getting downward separation because it went right back up. And right here, difficulty getting the upward situation since it went right back down there. So 414, 396.50 remain the key channel. And actually, now that I consider it, we're not dead center in the middle of the channel, but we're pretty close to being essentially right back inside of the channel, despite all the ups and downs throughout the day. So overall, I would keep an eye on this channel and not get my hopes up in either direction until the price can really prove that it's truly made the break, because like I said, we've had false breakouts in both directions so far relative to that channel. So that wraps up the top 10 list. Again, if you are sick and tired of the pattern day trader rule and maybe you just want a market that moves even better than the current stocks you're trading, then definitely check out what I've been doing. And if you're skeptical, totally get it. Come swing by the live stream, ask me questions, and I'd be happy to provide any sort of clarity that you do need. But I just want people to be aware you don't have to put up with putting your money into very weird stocks and stuff like that. There are better ways to get around that the pattern day trader rule. So hopefully this helps. Like I said, swing by the live stream, ask me if you have any questions. So thanks for watching. Take care. Make sure you hit that like button.